So with the holidays coming up, I wanted to say first and foremost that I'm grateful and thankful to everyone watching this video and everybody who's subscribed over the lifespan of this channel since its infancy. I know things can look bleak in the world quite often, but the holidays coming up and that Thanksgiving meal being right around the corner really makes a lot of these things worthwhile. Living through a pandemic, seeing our world socially right now, it's a lot to deal with. So getting to this point, I'm just thankful. Now, you and I might be thankful for different things, but I think a few things that we can agree on being thankful for is music, which is why I'm gonna list a couple albums that I'm appreciative and grateful for that I've listened to from artists that I think are heavily either influential or have just done something great in music that I don't think I would be the same without. And the first would have to be Nas. Pinpointing my love for Nas into one album is a very difficult thing to do because I don't just love his music for one record. While New York State of Mind was the song that really just made me love everything about rap music, it's Nas's love for music that pushes him to release an album like King's Disease 3, totally different from music that he would have released 30 years prior, which is why we denounce slanderous comments from 21 Savage calling Nas irrelevant. Obviously, a guy who's been making music for longer than you've been alive isn't going to be as relevant as he once was when you were in diapers. The fact that you are still talking about him right now completely disproves that point. I don't know what 21 was cooking at that point, but whatever. All I know is when it comes to acts like Nas, these are people that should be protected, which is why I wanted to tell you about today's sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark is a virtual private network, also known as a VPN, that basically shields all of your information from public internet access. This level of protection prevents people on the internet from accessing your passwords, getting the scoop on your private messages, gaining access to the things that you do on the internet. It nips these invasions of privacy in the bud, preventing any chronically online hacker from getting access to your digital footprint. You might think, oh, this will never happen to me. The only time I'm using my information is to log onto my home computer. But what about when you're an hour away from your house, in the mall, eating one of those beautifully salted pretzels, trying to Google what that dark figure standing in your doorway every night is, and you realize 5G and LTE just aren't gonna cut it at that moment, and you need to access some public Wi-Fi. Happens all the time. It happened to me. I started getting all these strange activity reports in the accounts that I had open at the time, some I didn't even own, and I felt like I almost needed to get a face transplant and change my first and last name to prevent that level of security breach from ever happening to me again. A solution that I might not have to have pondered on if I had Surfshark at the time, which is why I'm offering it to you. I care about you. I even love you. Some of you. I want you to be able to look up what that smell coming from your room is, and no matter how many times you clean your sheets, you just can't seem to. The point I'm trying to make is you should be able to do all of that knowing that your privacy will not be invaded. Surfshark protects and encrypts that information so that when you ultimately become president, because that's happening for all of you, I promise, no one can use it to blackmail you out of your position. If you're trying to obtain that level of protection, go ahead and get Surfshark in the link in the description. Use code Sean and you'll get 85% off, plus, get it, plus an additional 3 months extra all for free. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. There's literally no loser in this situation, outside of the hackers, of course. Go ahead, I'll wait. Second person in music that I'm really grateful for is Aubrey Drake Graham. I know to plenty of his diehard audience, I've given the man far too much criticism for me to also call myself a fan of his music, but Drake came around at a time in hip-hop where melodies and harmonies done well were welcome. As much as I had loved Kanye at this point, he just wasn't the singer that Drake was. Didn't verbalize his thoughts about relationships the way Drake did, or make me feel as related to Drake in the way that Drake was putting himself out there. And he was putting himself out there. Albums like Take Care showed me exactly how much ambition and drive you needed to accomplish whatever it is that you wanted. It's no surprise seeing Drake in the position that he's in right now. After hearing a song like The Ride end as climactically as it does, seemingly coming from the perspective of a young rapper who some work, some play, no sleep, off of an album like Take Care. Lines off shot for me being petty disses to his exes come off as extremely and shockingly honest in the time frame that they were released in. Hearing majority of the content off of Take Care made me feel like more people should look at Drake as a red flag as opposed to an extremely sensitive rapper. But here we are over a decade later, seeing him get massive backlash for some of the lines that I feel would fit very firmly from Her Loss into Take Care. Still, I'm grateful for what Drake did with Take Care, during its time. I think it was a great addition to his discography and very ambitious for his time. The next record I'm thankful for has got to be To Pimp a Butterfly from Kendrick Lamar. And while some could easily say Good Kid, Mad City is their favorite, I know a lot of people do, I feel like this album from Kendrick is just far more inclusive, and while it is personal in some aspects, it's far less first-person point of view as Good Kid, Mad City was, and far more bigger picture. I would congratulate Kendrick for being even more ambitious, considering that he was going mainstream and decided to throw this type of messaging and cultural context into his album, knowing that it could have a negative turn of events if not received well or misconstrued from the wrong parties. Considering a good portion of Kendrick's earlier work at this time was far more palatable, far more social. I appreciate this record coming out when it did, because from a mainstream perspective, it seemed to recontextualize not only young black rappers, but young black people. And while there are far more records that have done this prior to Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, speaking from the context of mainstream appeal can mean the difference between one guy getting it and 1,000 people getting it. This album includes some of my favorite songs from Kendrick, some of my favorite songs from the 2010s, and some of my favorite songs of all time. Kunta, The Blacker the Berry, For Free, I'm thankful for a lot of the things that he's done in music, but I'm most thankful for this body of work right here. Eminem is another artist that I'm thankful for. Yeah, I know. I'm not really thankful for the type of music that he's putting out right now, but that has nothing to do with him inspiring many artists when he was in his prime, in his heyday, with records like The Eminem Show, Marshall Mathers LP, Slim Shady LP. I mean, many could argue you might not even have guys like J. Cole or Kendrick inspired or fully motivated to rap without Eminem's influence. If you don't believe me, go and listen to J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar's earliest work, and you can hear heavy Eminem influence. A lot of young kids wanted to be Eminem when they were growing up. He was America's anti-hero for angsty preteens. But I'm appreciative of the music that he put out when I was younger, because regardless of how zany, wacky, and how flamboyant his personality was in a lot of those hit records like Slim Shady, he had just as many deep cuts that were basically musical mirrors back at America, steps deep into his personal life and into his trauma, the things that have made him what he was at the time. I'm thankful to have gotten songs like The Way I Am and Cleaning Out My Closet and had consumed them as young as I did, to give me a far more honest and realistic portrayal of a young musician, especially when everyone at the time was promoting themselves as Mr. Nice Guy. And one of the last, but certainly not least, that I'm thankful for is Jhene Aiko. We would have no Summer Walker. We would have no LMA. We would have no Money Long. We would have no post 2010s era of R&B from the perspective of a woman in the way that Jhene Aiko was doing it back when she had first started her career. One day we will do a deep dive and have a look at just how much her music has influenced and sparked a generation of young artists that emulate her exact sound, her style, the way she would use her voice, the melodies, song structure, song topics, subjects, everything. I mean, it feels like I'm just watching a bunch of Jhene Aiko kids run around. It's actually insane. I'm going to continue this very soon, likely in a live stream on the Twitch channel, but please do so in the comments below. Let me know what records you are most thankful for, what song, music, or artist you think has given so much to either you or to music that you just have to let people know about it. I will see you very soon, and until next time, I'm out.